Admiral Zekthara stood before the Galactic Council, his 4 arms spread wide in triumph. The assembled representatives of 100 worlds watched as holographic displays showed the smoldering remains of Earth's major cities. The blue marble, that had once been humanity's cradle, now bore the scars of orbital bombardment. Dark craters where metropolises once thrived. "The human infestation has been eliminated," Zekthara announced, his mandibles clicking with satisfaction. "They're stubborn. Resistance is finally over. The galaxy is safe from their chaotic influence." The council chambers erupted in applause. For 3 decades, humanity had been the galaxy's greatest concern, not for their military might, but for their unpredictability. While other species followed logical patterns of expansion and diplomacy, humans had this maddening tendency to do the impossible when cornered. They had turned lost battles into victories, transformed defeats into strategic advantages, and somehow convinced entire alien populations to join their cause through something they called friendship. The hegemony, a coalition of the galaxy's most powerful races, had finally decided that humanity's chaos was too dangerous to tolerate. Better to eliminate them entirely than risk the contamination of their orderly civilization. "Let it be recorded," declared Chancellor Morden, the crystalline being who led the council, "that on this date, humanity has been officially declared extinct. Their worlds are now open for colonization by civilized species." What they didn't know was that Captain Sarah Chen was listening to every word. Hidden in the asteroid belt beyond Kepler 442b, the human stealth frigate Defiance had been conducting deep reconnaissance for months. Chen and her crew of 47 were part of Operation Lazarus, a classified mission that officially didn't exist, launched by a government that was supposedly destroyed. The truth was more complex. While Earth's surface cities had indeed been devastated, humanity had learned long ago not to keep all their eggs in one basket. Underground bunkers, orbital habitats, generation ships, and hidden colonies scattered across dozens of systems had preserved millions of humans. The hegemony had won the battle, but they had gravely underestimated their enemy. "Ma'am," whispered Lieutenant Rodriguez from the communications station, "we're receiving the signal. Operation Lazarus is green across all sectors." Chen smiled, grimly. The hegemony thought they were dealing with a primitive species that fought conventional wars. They were about to learn why humanity had survived ice ages, asteroid impacts, and countless wars among themselves. Phase 1 began 3 days later. Across the galaxy, human sleeper agents, survivors who had integrated into alien societies over the past 30 years, activated simultaneously. These weren't spies in the traditional sense, but humans who had genuinely befriended alien communities, learned their languages, understood their cultures, and earned their trust. On Veltar Prime, Dr. Marcus Webb, who had spent 15 years treating wounded Veltari soldiers and had become beloved by the local population, stood before a crowd of 10,000 aliens. With tears in his eyes, he revealed his true identity and played recordings of the Council's declaration. The Veltari, who valued honor above all else, were horrified to learn they had participated in genocide. Similar scenes played out on dozens of worlds. The galaxy watched in shock as their extinct neighbors revealed themselves not as conquerors, but as friends who had lived among them, helped them, and loved them. The hegemony's narrative of human monstrosity crumbled as ordinary citizens realized they had been deceived. Phase 2 was more direct. While the hegemony scrambled to maintain control of the narrative, human strike teams emerged from hiding places that shouldn't have existed. They had learned from decades of guerrilla warfare on Earth, and they brought those lessons to the stars. The attack on Hegemony Command wasn't a traditional assault. Instead of massive fleets and bombardments, it was 47 humans in a single frigate, using the galaxy's own infrastructure against it. They hijacked communication networks, turned automated defense systems into weapons, and convinced entire hegemony fleets to stand down through a combination of psychological warfare and strategic blackmail. Captain Chen's team didn't need to destroy the hegemony's capital. They just needed to make its leaders understand that humanity's survival was non-negotiable. The final phase was purely symbolic, but symbols mattered in galactic politics. As Admiral Zekthera cowered in his command bunker, watching his empire collapse around him, he saw something impossible through his office window. Rising slowly over the hegemony's greatest city was a simple rectangular flag, blue field, red, and white stripes, with a small square of stars in one corner. It wasn't the flag of any human government that still existed. Earth's nations had been shattered decades ago. Instead, it was the banner that humanity had chosen to represent their species among the stars, a synthesis of their oldest symbols of freedom and unity. But it wasn't just one flag. Across the hegemony's homeworld, in every major city and spaceport, the same banner was rising, not planted by conquering armies, but raised by the very aliens the hegemony claimed to protect. Veltari honor guards, Christek scientists, even some of Zekthara's own soldiers, all declaring their allegiance to the supposedly extinct human species. 3 months later, Admiral Zekthara found himself before the same Galactic Council, but this time as a prisoner. The chamber was packed with representatives from newly independent worlds, many carrying small human flags as symbols of their liberation. Captain Chen, now promoted to Admiral, stood where Zekthara once had. She didn't spread her arms in triumph, or click mandibles in satisfaction. Instead, she simply spoke in the quiet, determined voice that had become humanity's signature. "We told you we came in peace. You chose war. We told you we valued friendship. You chose genocide. But here's what. You never understood about humans. We don't stay dead when you kill us. We adapt. We survive. And we remember our friends." She gestured to the diverse crowd of beings filling the chamber. "These beings chose to stand with us not because we conquered them, but because we lived among them. We didn't demand their loyalty. We earned it." The human flag now flew over the council chambers, but it wasn't alone. Beside it hung the banners of 100 worlds, united not by fear or force, but by something the hegemony had never understood: hope. Humanity wasn't just alive. They had become something the galaxy had never seen before. Not conquerors or victims, but the catalyst for a new kind of civilization. One where extinction was just another problem to solve, and friendship was the ultimate weapon. The galaxy would never be the same.